You're listening to the Rent Roll Radio Show with Sterling Chapman. Hey, Rent Roll Radio listeners, welcome back to your show. As always, this is your host, Sterling Chapman. Today, I'm joined with Chris Rood. Chris actually is kind of all over the place as a real estate investor. So he's done wholesaling, he's done buy and hold, he's done apartments, and what he's real big into now is mobile home parks and coaching other real estate investors. And so you can find out more about that at chrisrood.com. But Chris, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, man. It's a cool to do a podcast with a local Louisianian next door, so that's cool.
Where specifically are you from? Because that doesn't sound like a Baton Rouge accent.
No, I'm a coon-ass, man. I'm from South Louisiana. I'm from Lafayette, Cajun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, just for those local listeners, I saw a targeted Facebook ad with Chris on the LSU, right outside of LSU on the levee in front of the Mississippi River Bridge, with one of those Target commercials. And I noticed him there. I said, man, he must be local. I wonder if I know him. And then I just started seeing him everywhere, and he's doing mobile home parks and he's doing coaching. So I reached out to him and begged him to come join us and kind of share a little bit of his wisdom and experience with us. Chris, can you kind of start from the beginning and how you got into real estate investing and what that evolution looked like?
So, man, I was always very entrepreneurial as a kid, hard-headed. Shit, in fourth grade, I was trying to sell basketball and baseball cards out the back of my book sack to people, rookie cards and, things of that nature. So I guess I always had an entrepreneur knack, sales knack. But long story short, I started a business out of the back of my truck when I was 22 here in Lafayette while I was in college. I was a sophomore in college at UL here, and started an on-site oil change and car wash and rock chipper and windshield repair company out of the back of my truck. Did that for 2 years, graduated college. By the time I graduated college, I was making about $100,000 a year, just changing all out of the back of my truck and fixing those. This is in 2005. So that was a lot of money for a little 22-year-old. While all my buddies were going to get jobs after college, like, I'm just going to continue to do this. But I realized I couldn't scale that, chasing people around doing on-site. I needed to get a physical location. I needed real estate, right? And so basically what I did was I started kind of putting feelers out, trying to find a physical location. So I would go around and to other quick lubes, like the little quick lube drive-through, take 5 places, or, these little drive-through, and I would go up to all of them and see if they want to sell. Well, I found one that I was interested in selling, and come to find out he didn't own the building. He was just leasing it, and but he wasn't paying his lease. But I ended up tracking down the owner and said, hey, kick him out. I'll pay the rent on time. And she ended up kicking him out, and he wasn't too happy about that. But I got my first physical location that way.
First experience with eviction as well.
Yeah, with eviction. And but I didn't own it. I was just leasing it. But from there, I kind of I doubled my income. I wasn't having to chase around people, doing brake jobs, oil changes, and blast repairs. So people were coming to me. Plus, I still kept the on-site stuff, but doubled my income. And I was like, man, this is the way to go. And I was like, I need to find more locations. Well, this is around 2005, right before the blow up, 2005, 2006, before the blow up of the real estate market in 2007. You remember Katrina happened in 2005, sure. Right? That displaced everybody from New Orleans. They went to Baton Rouge, Atlanta, Lafayette, or Houston. Well, I think Katrina was what, 2005? Yep, I think that happened. 2005. Well, the real estate market was already hot. All these people, and I had been back up prior to that. I think 3 or 4 years before that, I had built a spec home right outside of Lafayette in a little town called Brobridge. And I noticed every year my house value was going up so much. It's this is ridiculous.
In Brobridge?
Yeah, and I was right off the interstate. It was it's a brand new little neighborhood and a little spec home. And I noticed I had enough cognitive where I was like, man, this is before I knew anything about real estate. I was just watching everything. And this is right around the time too, when HGT was putting out all these flip houses and stuff. And that got big, years ago. So I guess that made me more aware of it. Well, as the displacement of people from Katrina came to Lafayette and all the surrounding areas, that almost magnified the real estate market to drive up the prices even more than what they already were currently, with the demand for it as it was. So I told my wife, I said, baby, we need to sell our house. We could make $100,000 or more in our house right now. It's ridiculous. So she finally agreed to it. And we put it we painted a couple of rooms, landscaped the front yard, put it for sale. I was 25 years old at the time. 30 days later, we sold the house and made 127,000. I was 25 years old at the time.
Nice.
So that was the first experience of like flipping a house, but that was pure luck. I don't want to talk like that was like that was pure speculation, pure timing, pure luck, no skill.
Sure.
Right after I sold it, 3 months later, the real estate market collapsed, 2007. Okay. So that was pure luck. Otherwise, I would never sold my house. But
I'm curious because you're probably more aware of the macroeconomic environment. Yep. Sure. Locally. To me, when we hear a lot about the real estate collapse, most of those like major like downward spiral crashes, from my understanding, we're in California, Florida, Nevada, areas exactly. Where there's extreme ups and downs. Correct. Did we suffer that much here?
No, we didn't. Let me tell you why. Because oil and gas industry carried us. Oil was like at $120, $130, $110 a barrel throughout that time. I take that back. I think it was at 100. They peaked out in 2014, $128 a barrel, but that's when it crashed. But during 2008 and 2009 and 2007, the oil field was kicking. So really the South, Texas, Louisiana, we didn't have that much of a crash. We did have pockets of crashes in certain areas of Louisiana, but not like the rest of the world did. Like Phoenix, Arizona lost 70% value, 60% value in some neighborhoods. But, on a macro level, nationwide, we only had a 15% drop nationwide. But no, you're right. Louisiana as a whole, Texas as a whole, all those oil field related states didn't have the big collapse. So, but we sold the house, and made $127,000. Well, I took that money and I bought another physical location from another motivated seller of another a guy that had a big, nice mechanic shop in Quick Lube off of a city, and one of the busiest cities in Lafayette called Johnson Street. They had like 60,000 cars that passed there a day. I caught wind because I was in the Quick Lube and mechanic business. The other mechanics knew the other mechanics at other stores, and they told me, "Hey, look, this dude's about to go bankrupt. Property taxes. He's not doing, what he's supposed to be doing." So I went and I confronted him. I said, "Hey man, listen, I know you're about to, you're not paying your property taxes and your sales tax. I know you're going to lose your place. So let's just make a deal. I'll buy your place." So we agreed on a price. I took that $127,000. I got an SBA loan at 25, and I was able to finance his place. I bought it for $860,000. So that was my next experience with real estate. So I transferred all. So basically, I was using the flip game in real estate unknowingly, and I was funding it from my mechanic and Quick Lube business. So after that, found a foreclosure in another hot little city outside of Lafayette called Youngsville. I bought a foreclosure for like $80,000 less than what it was worth. We bought that, fixed that up, flipped that, made another $60,000, bought another shop from another guy. And then I sold a piece of property on the bayou. I had bought a piece of property on the bayou to build a house, and we decided not to. I flipped that and made, in like 4 months, ended up making like $40,000. I used that as another down payment to lease another building. So I got up to like 4 locations by flipping real estate. 4 locations, my mechanic shop. Well, after I bought those 4 locations, I got so busy I had to stop because I was like, I can't, I was expanding too fast. A couple of hurricanes hit while I was doing all that, and knocked the wind out of my sales, and almost crippled me, almost went bankrupt, because I'd bought like 3 or 4 stores within like a year period, and I had 2 hurricanes hit back to back and shut us down for like a whole month, and I had all that overhead, and it really hurt. But anyway, that was my first launch. I ended up pulling out of it, and making it through that. But that was my first real estate experience, and then from there, got so busy with the shops for a while, made a lot of money for about 4 years, didn't pay no attention to real estate, and then got back into real estate about 2010. And because I had made a few bucks in the mechanic Quick Lube business, and I wanted to diversify, get back into the real estate game. Well, didn't really know how to buy, source off-market deals like I do now. And I just got with a realtor, and I started making tons of offers on MLS with a realtor. I'd make 20, 30 offers, a week, and pick up one little single family home for 150 grand. I was maybe worth 200 grand. Bought $3 million worth of, single family homes like that over like a 2-year period. And, had an okay equity position. I buying them at 80, 85 cents on the dollar, but I was buying at the run up of the market, right? Again, after 2008. Well, our 2008 in Louisiana wasn't really a 2008. Our 2008 in Louisiana was 2014, especially in Lafayette, Louisiana, where we're heavily dependent on deep water drilling. Not so much where you live in Baton Rouge, because you have all the refineries, and that's on the production side. It didn't get hurt as much. But oil went from $128 a barrel to $24 a barrel. We lost tens of thousands of high-paying jobs here in Lafayette. Half of my rentals went empty because I was leasing out to a lot of oil field workers. Half of my oil field accounts with my quick lube mechanic shops went either bankrupt or moved to Texas. And 50% of my business was oil field related at all my shops. So it was another double whammy. So that knocked the wind out of me again. And I knew that I was going to go bankrupt. I was losing $20,000 a month. Well, right around let me back up. Right when the 2014 crash happened with the oil field, luckily about 4 or 5 months before that, I was like, I want to get back into real estate full time, because I was kind of burnt out on turning wrenches and dealing with employees and dealing with the general public. So I was like, I want to go full time. Real estate got me where I'm at. I need to get back into real estate. So I started searching on YouTube, real estate investing, and some black guy, I forgot what his name is. He would come on and say, I'm not a guru, I'm a guru. And he says, he was showing people $40,000 checks of how he was wholesaling real estate. I was like, wholesaling real estate, what is that? And I'd watch his videos, this cool cat, and he was showing me how he's flipping, houses without actually owning. I was like, man, I could do this. So right around that same time, I said, I can do this. So I actually wholesaled a couple properties on my own that I had bought. I made like $1,500, $2,500. I was like, okay, I could do this. This is real. So I went and I hired 3 mentors back to back to back. And 30 days after my second mentor, I started making some serious money. I made $47,000 on the side while still running my shops, by putting out a bunch of bandit signs, putting out letters, and I started wholesaling houses. Well, the money, when I started making good money, I was making 40, 50, 60, sometimes 80,000 in 1 month. And thank God that the timing of that was perfect, because all those rentals that I had just bought from 2010 to 2012, half of them were empty. The other third of them, or a quarter of them, weren't paying on time because the economy was destroyed here in Lafayette.
Sure.
And I was literally covering my losses with I really wasn't even making a profit. I was making a bunch of money, but it was just covering my losses with my shops and the single family homes that I had bought. So I literally went up to my employees and my managers in my shop, said, hey man, listen, y'all don't call me unless somebody dies. I'm doing this full time. So I went all in. I went full time real estate investing and wholesaling, flipping properties, started making, good money, 6 figures a month. And I literally basically dug myself out of a hole financially through my wholesaling business, and then slowly started selling off all those single family homes, and then slowly sold off all those shops. I still have one of those shops to this day that I still can't sell, but end up doing really good with a couple of shops, making a few bucks, and 1031 exchange it into some short-term vacation rentals on the beach in Destin, Florida, and some other properties. And from there, I realized single family homes is not where I wanted to be, because it proved to me that high-end, nice brick on slab single family homes was not the way to go, because they couldn't make it through a recession, right? But what I did notice is that the affordable housing investors that I knew of that had, some little $40,000, $50,000 older houses, maybe a 3-1, 2-1, they were getting $650 to $800 a month in rent. They all still paid rent. There was still a lot of people that could afford that, but nobody could afford $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So that was a light bulb that went in my head. Go ahead.
My buddy that does low income in North Baton Rouge has a saying. He said, it's always a recession in the hood.
He ain't lying. It's recession proof because they always in a recession. So unbeknownst to me, I was like, I'm going to go get into the low end rental game, thinking that that's where I need to be. So I bought a bunch of, I would say hood houses, low end houses, wood frame houses, did that for a little while, did better than I was doing with the single family home model. And it was okay. It was maintenance intensive, and you had, we had a few problems and nothing crazy. I was like, okay, this model is better than what I was doing. Did that for about a year or two in conjunction with that wholesaling, flipping. And I was at a barber shop one day and I picked up a business finance book. They had an article by Warren Buffett. He said mobile home parks and mobile homes will be the wave of the future, because mobile homes are the last vestiges of affordable housing because of where the economy is going, demographics, inflation. Income is not keeping up with the inflation. The baby boomers are retiring, get rid of their single family homes. The millennials are not wanting to buy brick on slab houses and get strapped with all kind of debt. On top of that, they have so much student debt that they can't pay off. So the next generation is not going to be building all these brick on slab, nice single family homes in the future. And that affordable housing is the way to go. I read that article about 4.5 years ago, and that made a lot of sense to me. Right. Mm-hmm. That made a lot of sense to me, Sterling. And I was like, you know what? I see mobile home parks all over the place, and I always thought that was like trailer park trash. Right. Sure. I don't. Well, while I had something dawned on me while I was doing all the wholesaling the past couple of years. Prior to that, I'd get a lot of people calling me to sell their mobile homes to be moved. And I didn't want to buy it or wholesale because I didn't know what to do with a mobile home. Right. Sure. But I was like, I bet, and they were willing to give them away, literally give them away for like $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. These are nice trailers. I said, I bet you now that if I buy a mobile home park, I can haul in these mobile homes through my wholesaling business that I pick up for $5,000, $10,000 and get, $700, $800 a month in rent and really increase my cash flow and spreads. So I bought my first, and it's kind of one of those things, right? Whatever you pay attention to, you're going to attract, or you're going to start, Sure. So I was like, I'm going to start looking for a mobile home park. Not 30 days later, a realtor brought me a mobile home park because he knew I was a real estate investor. And he said, hey man, I got this mobile home park that this family inherited. The dad just died. They want to get rid of it. Well, I ended up buying my first mobile home park here in Lafayette. It was a 24 unit for $405,000. It appraised for $735,000. Nice. And it was only getting about $7,200 a month in rent as is, but it had about 7 empty trailers and the rents were low. They weren't at current market value. It was in pretty good shape, and it wasn't in the best areas on the north side of Lafayette, but it was right next to a McDonald's. So if a McDonald's is willing, and that McDonald's is really busy, and I knew that area because I went to high school right down the road. I said, I'll take a risk on this. Well, I bought that, and sure enough, I meshed my wholesaling business where I was picking up trailers for like, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 with the mobile home park business. I started buying these leads that would come in if people want to sell their trailers. I would pick up their trailers for $500.
Put them in your park,
and I'd put them in my park for $2,000, $5,000, $7,000, and I might be all in after pulling them in, setting them up, and putting a few bucks into them for say $7,000 to $10,000, but I was getting $700, $800 a month in rent. So go ahead.
So you're renting out the trailers because
I own the trailer and the dirt.
Because that's kind of a unique model. If a lot of the other mobile home park investors that I've interviewed, they'll say all they want is the land, and they'll immediately owner finance out the trailers to avoid the maintenance.
Right. So that is true in a sense, but that's just a lazy way of being an investor, right? Sure. A mobile home doesn't have any less maintenance than an apartment, any less than a single family home. Why do I know that? Because I own apartments and I own single family homes. If people think, oh, it's trailer park trash, they fall apart, yada, yada, yada. It's not true. I don't know who said that. I was actually born into a trailer in 1981. That same trailer today is still being rented out. That trailer was a 72, 73 model when my parents brought me home in it. It is still being rented out today. I think that trailer was probably cost $10,000, $12,000 back in 74, 75. That trailer to this day gets $750 a month in rent, and it's still being rented out, and it's been renovated. I guess it's maybe been renovated 2 or 3 times, but it doesn't hurt no more and no less than a single family home or an apartment. It sits on a metal frame, right? And it's got a subfloor. It's got insulation. It's got a roof. It's got cabinets, floors. I mean, you just change all that out just like you would a single family home or an apartment, right? So there's the first big misnomer that's a bad investment. They fall apart. Secondly, the city frowns on it because they don't want, and there's usually like a lot of these cities don't want mobile home parks inside the city, and because they say they're an eyesore and they bring down the value of other homes, which may be true in a sense. But the real reason is that they don't tell you is that there's no revenue in mobile home parks for the state, for the property taxes. You can't tax it, right? Yeah. They want single family homes, right? In apartments, brick on slab. lots and lots of tax revenue for the city. And that's the real reason why they've had a moratorium and they don't let them inside the city.
So you don't have property tax on mobile homes?
Barely, dude. So let me,
Just
so that
the land. You're just paying property tax on the land?
basically, I mean, so the property tax, like that one park, I might pay like $2,500 a year for all 24 of those units. And that park right now is the first park I bought. I paid 405. I probably put 100, let's call it 125, maybe 150 into it over the past 4 years. That park gets almost $16,000 a month on $400,000 of debt. What does that in real estate?
Right.
Nothing. That park spits money. That park spits out $8,000 to $10,000 a month every month. Now, is there maintenance? Sure, but if you understand how to harden a trailer, like we split tested, we've done trial and error. We've used different. We use the hard vinyl planks that are lifetime.
Sure.
When we use the luxury vinyl planks, not the cheap stuff. This lifetime, we get brand new Lowe's cabinets, Formica, the gray and white Formica, and we put wood paneling. It looks like white and gray wood paneling on the walls. It looks phenomenal. We put a metal roof. It's done. And if the floors are soft from the old press wood that it used to put, we just change out all the floors and put 3/4 inch treated plywood. It's lifetime. Once you do all that and you say you spend 10, 15 grand, that trailer is good for another 30 years. Like, yeah, you have basic maintenance on it. Maybe, a busted pipe or somebody punches a hole in the paneling, or the cabinets after, 8 to 10 years need to be changed out again, but it doesn't mess up no more or no less than wear and tear you get from a renter of an apartment or wear and tear from a single family home. Right. But your cost is exponentially lower. Right.
Right.
So your rent is not that much lower than a single family home or an apartment.
So what's your criteria when you're looking for these mobile home parks?
I like 20, just for pure economies of scale, I need 20 units or more, for property management and to make it worth my while. I look for uncaptured appreciated rents. Obviously, we want to make sure that, and typically a lot of these mobile home park owners are mom and pops. They're older people, they're baby boomers. They haven't typically went up on the rents. And there's usually like $150 to $200 gap in where they're at versus where we can bring them to. Good area, jobs, where at least there's jobs, within the city. I don't want to go too far out in the country. I'll go out in the country.
I had a guy reach out to me the other day. He does my electrical work, and one of my electric guys. He was looking for a house to rent because he was currently living in a trailer in Ascension Parish, and he was paying $1,100 a month. I said, people pay $1,100 a month to live in trailers? I'm in the wrong business.
Dude, I'm getting $1,000 a month. I own 4 or 5 parks in Baton Rouge. Well, around the Baton Rouge area. I own 2 in Gonzales, 1 in Zachary.
He might be your tenant.
Well, it might be. I get $1,000 a month for like older, for like 10, 15-year-old, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 16 by 80s. And we get 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I mean, we get $1,000 a month all day, every day. And I got brand new trailers that we're getting $1,100 and $1,200 a month in Denham Springs. So, and I've paid, and those are brand new. I paid like $45,000 for them brand new, no maintenance. I'll have maintenance for probably 5-10 years. And I'm getting $1,100, $1,200. So, I mean, the connotation that, oh, you don't get good rent, or, oh, they fall apart, or, oh, this, or, oh, that, is all horseshit. I've been doing this for 4.5 years. Hey, you want to keep playing with those apartments? You want to keep playing with those single family homes? Go right ahead. Not as pretty as sexy as an apartment or single family home, but I learned pretty and sexy don't pay the bills. I want something that cash flows. I want something that cash flows remarkably good. There's nothing that I've done in real estate up to this date that even comes close to what I'm doing with mobile home parks. I'm partnered up with people all over the country through my coaching and mentoring program. We've got 5 deals in a contract right now, 1 in Tampa, 1 in Sulphur, Louisiana, 1 in Pensacola, Louisiana. I'm closing on 2 in Indiana with some students Friday. All properties that basically investors don't want to even look at because it's park-owned mobile home parks. They think it's trailer park trash, and there's the vacuum, right? When everybody goes left, you want to go right. Everybody says, I've looked at lot rent parks. They're selling for like a 5 or 6 cap. It don't make any sense. Why would I borrow millions of dollars worth of debt to get a 5 or 6 cap? and then apartments right now in a good area selling for a 3 to 4 cap. Like it doesn't make any logical sense to even invest in apartments right now. I mean, I'm not to say you can't find a good deal. It would have to be off market before anybody knows about it. But I like to play in the 20 to 40, 20 to 50 unit mobile home parks because big money doesn't want to mess with it and small money get into it. Right.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to hop over to our radio round to help our listeners get to know you a little bit, just for the sense of time. It's just 3 quick questions. The first one is, what's your favorite book?
Man, my favorite book up until now, I'm going to tell you 2 of them because I just switched. The Science of Getting Rich was my favorite book for a long time. Okay. Everybody thinks Napoleon Hill's Thinking is the original, book on mindset and all that and visualization. No, he actually got his information from this guy that wrote The Science of Getting Rich. It was written in like 1912. Unbelievable book, really short. It's probably, I've read that book 7, 8 times. You should read it almost once a year. It'll change your life. Sure. However, the next book I just read, Tim Grover's Winning. If you don't know who Tim Grover is Michael Jordan's mentor.
Yep.
I met him at Grant Cardone's 10X conference a couple times. And I actually sat right next to him at the first 10X and got to talk to him. But he wrote a book that was pretty much all about how winners act. Like he literally studied the most high sports stars, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. He coached all those guys, and he documented how they thought and how to, what winning it really looks like in the mind. And it is probably the most one of the most refreshing books if you're a high performance person that loves to grind and loves to make money, loves to, put in the 80 hours a week like I do, and just absolutely loves to because I look at real estate, I look at making money. It's a sport, right? Real estate's a sport. Mm-hmm. And if you can apply the mindset of, you get inside the head of Michael Jordan and think like he thinks and act like he acts, you might get some of those results, but in your business, right? Sure. And that book is a phenomenal book on mindset and how to really dominate, right? It's called Winning by Tim Grover. I would pick it up. I'm gonna probably read that book once a year because it was that good. So yeah, those are probably my 2 favorite books up until this point.
Awesome. I'm gonna check them out both. Next one is, what's your favorite quote?
Man, I was thinking about that.
That's why I tell people ahead of time.
Is one of my favorite. You know who Jim Rome is?
Sure. He was Tony Robbins' mentor.
Correct. And he had a quote, and I actually forgot. You asked me to think about it, but I couldn't remember. I don't know if you're in front of a computer, you Google it real quick. And but I think I'm trying to think how it goes. He said, and I don't want to misspeak, but
I could probably correct it. Half the times on the show, I know the damn quotes better than the people giving them to me.
Basically, meant that working yourself until working. I don't want to push it. Somebody, I used to know it, but and somebody's asked me that before, but I haven't looked at it in a while. But it's actually all over my Instagram because I post it at least once a year because it's so good. I don't even want to try to even. I can't. Look up. Look up Jim Rome famous quotes, and it basically talks about how the way you make money is through personal development.
Yep.
It's all about personal development. You don't work. It's an inside job first, right? You got to work on yourself first because money is attracted to people that think about it all the time or who are actually.
I know what quote you're talking about, and I can't.
I'm like, shit. And I'll usually always quote it all the time. It's aggravating the shit out of me. But anyway, when we hang up, it's going to pop in my mind. So
sure. That's how it works.
Look it up. It's
So what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
Read, man. I love to read. I mean, all I do is read. I mean, if you look, I'm going to switch my camera here. You could see. That's a small fraction of books that you got some right there. Stack them.
Yeah, I got them lined up as well.
There you go. So I got some more right there on the countertop, but man, I love it. Reading is, if I had I read about 2 hours a day in the morning. I wake up about 6 in the morning, drink my coffee, and I read. I mean, you know, I like to, I like to feed. You can't just feed, you can't just take care of your body. You see all those cats that, all they do is work out. And look, I love to work. I just came back from the gym, but you got to work on mind, body, spirit, right? And the mind, you feed the mind through books, right? You got, and that's how you're going to grow personally, right? And I think the greatest untapped asset is books. People heavily underestimate how powerful books are, and reading the words of wisdom from people that have experienced stuff that you don't have to experience, but you can obtain through their readings. Yeah. There is go ahead.
And I put a higher premium on physically reading words out of a book versus a lot of other ways of consuming content.
Oh, that's and because words are symbols, right? They have a higher impression on the mind and subconscious than listening to it audio. People don't understand. People, I don't like to read, Chris. I listen to audio. Well, that's great. I guess it's better than not doing anything, but you're not going to substitute reading. And people like, I have a headache, or I can't, I'm not good with reading. Well, just look up all the misunderstood words that you don't understand in the dictionary. If you don't understand some of these, because some of these guys that are, super learned that lived 100 years ago, I mean, these guys are geniuses. They would speak in words that you almost have to have a dictionary on the side of you. But reading is so powerful because it's symbols, and those symbols have an impression on your mental state, and will literally change your behavior, your attitude, your awareness about things. And that's all it does. That's all books do. That's all personal development does. It raises your awareness about things, so you have a greater understanding of life and how to do something that maybe somebody struggle with, that figure out an easier way to do it. But there is a quote by Socrates that I really love that just pops in my mind. He says, I'm going to butcher it, but I know it pretty good. He says, labor yourself in other men's writings so that you shall obtain easily what other men have struggled hard for.
That's awesome.
And that goes back to reading. Like, you could literally find out what somebody struggled hard for, and nugget that they found easily by just reading their stuff.
Yep. I love it. It's like having lunch with, the smartest people in history, and just picking their brain.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, man, reading, I enjoyed, working out. I mean, hanging out with me and my wife and looking at real estate all day. I mean, we truly live a full-time real estate investor's life. We do land development. I wholesale and flip here in Lafayette. I have partners in Baton Rouge, partners in Florida. I do nationwide wholesale and flip. I have a team that does this nationwide. We develop land. I own mobile home parks all over the country. I own some apartments here locally in Lafayette, 105 units with some partners. I'm just a full-time real estate investor, right? We coach. I do masterminds at my beach house in Destin, Florida.
Well, tell us about all the ways our listeners can get in touch with you, find out more about you, get into your coaching, learn from you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Facebook at Chris Rood Entrepreneur. On my business page, press the like button, or just go on Chris Rood, my personal page. I'm maxed out with friends, but just press the follow button. You better see what I'm doing. And then Instagram at Real Estate Rood, LinkedIn at Chris Rood, TikTok Chris Rood, and then you can go to chrisrood.com, my website, and you can read up on how I wholesale and flip. We own about $25 million worth of real estate right now. That mostly parks. We teach people how. Sorry, I keep having calls. We teach people how to do what I'm doing: wholesaling, flipping, mobile home park investing. And if you're if you're somebody new that's just getting into real estate, I did everything backwards, right? You shouldn't start off with buying. You need to learn. I mean, I almost went bankrupt twice. I kind of told you guys my story. I mean, we were this close to just say, hey, let's just throw it. It was easier just to throw a towel in. And I probably should have filed bankruptcy, to be honest with you. I mean, I got a car wash right now. Don't mean to kind of go off track. I got a car wash right now that I'm almost $1 million in the hole to over the past 8 years that I've been stroking a check just to keep open, just to keep my credit. But, it ain't all pretty and sunshine, rainbows being an entrepreneur and even a real estate investor.
That's true.
But it's worth it, right? It'll give you more freedom than any job, or more fulfillment and satisfaction, anything that you could possibly, imagine, but also give you more pain and tears and sleepless nights also. But, if you want to learn, you want to start off with wholesaling, because what wholesaling does is the basic foundation. If you don't know how to buy right, if you don't know how to go direct to seller and source off market properties, you're never going to better get good deals. The deals are not on MLS. The deals are off market. Yeah, you can get deals from real pocket listings, but I almost went bankrupt buying all those single family homes because I paid $95 90 to 85, 80 cents on the dollar, making a bunch of offers with realtors. Realtors are not y'all do all of real estate. They're realtors, right? That's like they're broke in between deals. You want to go direct to seller. You want to find heavily discounted off market properties from motivated sellers. The way you do that is doing direct to seller marketing, Facebook ads, PPC, SEO, direct mail, cold calling, all those things. And that way you can source and buy deals dude, I literally buy, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I can't steal it, Sterling, I'm not buying it. Right. That's my motto, period.
Sure.
Now,
sure.
Disrespectful. No, I'm an investor. I'm not a retail buyer. I don't pretend to buy somebody's house to live there. I'm looking for a deal. And what that does is if I buy it super cheap, then it hedges me against the market, the market corrections of going up and down. If I can buy something at 50 cents on the dollar and we have a 20% correction, great, I'm still good. But if you buy something at 80 cents on the dollar and you have a 20% correction, like I was doing before when I was buying deals off realtors, off MLS, dude, you upside down at best, right? I lost a lot of money. I had to sell off all those single family homes because I didn't know what I was doing, right? So, but yeah, man, there's
awesome.
my lovely wife.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciated you coming on the show. Definitely give me a holler next time you're in Baton Rouge. I'd love to buy you lunch and hear more about your program and about your mobile home parks. Thanks so much. And we look forward to keeping up with you on your journey.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rent Roll Radio Show, brought to you by Crestworth Capital. We hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating and review. You can also visit us at crestworthcapital.com or rentrollradio.com, or follow us on Facebook at Rent Roll Radio or at Crestworth Capital. If you would like to reach us, feel free to shoot us an email at info@rentrollradio.com or sterling@crestworthcapital.com. We hope you come back next week to join us on some more of our journey. Until then, happy investing.